I don't waste my time or my energy, because you know who certain people are and who you want to surround yourself with. It's always going above and beyond, and I think anyone in any job, if you want to get on, you have to go above and beyond. He says, I can go downstairs, get in my Porsche, drive home and jump in my swimming pool.
What a... From Ministry of Work, welcome to Greater Manchester's Greatest Minds, the show about Greater Manchester's pioneers, entrepreneurs and visionaries, and the stories that brought their ideas to life. I'm Eddie Whittingham, and on today's show we sit down with Ryan Hughes, entrepreneur, property investor and the man behind Mr Investa. Ryan's story began in Salford, where he grew up surrounded by grit, graft and the realities of street life. While some friends went down darker paths, Ryan chose a different route, chasing freedom, opportunity and the lessons instilled by his hard-working parents. By 15, he was working on building sites. By 18, managing multi-million-pound property portfolios. That early hustle shaped a career that's seen him build businesses, travel the world and eventually launch his own firm during the turbulence of COVID.
So, born and raised in Salford, lived in the same street for a very long time, sort of 2-bed terraced house. Great upbringing, very grounded upbringing, surrounded by friends and 2 hardworking parents, both multiple jobs, both grafters, and yeah, that's being born and raised in Salford. You sort of see a lot of different lifestyles and a lot of different choices. One thing that I learnt very on was always respect for my parents, but also the hard work that they'd done to provide the things that they'd done for me, and not to be disrespectful to that.
What did they do?
So mum was a machinist, and then she used to do some night pubs, bar lader, and then dad was transport and security, former army, so very sort of military at home in the household cavalry. So a lot of the sort of regimented stuff come from him, but didn't really spend much time with him growing up because he was out there earning for us. One of the things that he said to me is, when you start your own businesses, he said, make sure you spend time with your family, because it's the only thing he regrets. But without him doing it, we wouldn't have had...
It's a funny one, isn't it? And I bet you obviously hold a lot of respect for him for... Even though maybe wasn't there as much as you would maybe have liked him, you still respect him massively for the sheer work he put in.
Oh, it's sort of painful and criminal.
It's like the ultimate sacrifice, isn't it?
It's the ultimate sacrifice. You're not where you want to be, but you're there for the greater picture. And I suppose it's that generational thing where he's worked as hard as he's worked, so I can work as hard but still enjoy.
Have a bit more balance.
Have a bit more balance, and then hopefully the next generation can have an even better balance. Mm-hmm. And it's that upbringing sort of kept me very grounded. But it's funny because where I grew up, we had 2 of my best friends went on completely different paths. I was the youngest in the street, so we had one that was working from 17, 18, working all the hours they could, doing night shifts, working, and then I had the other person doing every sort of crime that you could possibly think of. And then from sort of 14, 15, 16, me and one of my best friends spent 2-3 years traveling all around the country visiting this person in prison. And you go, I don't want to do that. You know, you're in high school and you're getting VOs to go and visit. And I'm like, and there was sort of a bit of a normality to that, not for myself necessarily, but in the school. Like the school I grew up in, Salford, was the first school in the UK to have an on-site police officer, because it was break time was fight time.
Yeah.
You know, it was who's fighting at breakfast, who's fighting at lunch, and who's fighting after school. And that was, you know, it's weird because when you speak to other people and my partner, she's like, oh my God, who are these people out? Like,
it was just normal to you, right?
It was just normal. There was a lot of sort of streetwise stuff about it, because you're playing on the street and you're growing up on the street and you're seeing stuff on the street that you wouldn't necessarily think was normal, that could be in a, when I was very young, someone got shot at the top of the street. When I was a little bit older, someone got slashed across the chest at the top of the street. And you feel like you're a million miles away from it, or you feel like, oh, well, that happened and someone got shot here and the pubs got shot up. And it's sort of day-to-day conversation. But when you step back and you're in your own bubble now, older, you go, oh, I don't want my son to be around that. Like, oh my God, that's the most scariest thing ever. But as well as the streetwise side of it, that you make friends, you get involved in the football, you get involved in the rugby, and you have this, the community I grew up in, the friends and the family community that we had, was everyone looked out for each other.
Yeah.
And that was always, it was networking at its sort of purest form of the classic, some people, everyone would wait to get paid, and everyone in the street would get paid at different times. So someone would be borrowing
subbing it for
the milk or it was crazy. Or someone would be having tea at someone's house because the other family didn't have the money for the food, and then vice versa a week later, because it's just how I grew up, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
How did you sort of stay out of trouble? Was that like, could you have been easily caught up in any trouble?
Yeah. I think I always say I had my two friends that I grew up with. I seen them going completely different lives. When I was 15 years old, someone come in my street, and bear in mind the average house price was £25,000-30,000. Not big houses at all. There was a small, they called it a big street and a small street, and the small street was all burnt out. So at the bottom of the street, all the houses were burnt out and boarded up. And I had someone turn up in a 360 Spider Ferrari at 15 years old and take me all around Salford with a private reg on, a couple of £100,000 car. And I was like, oh my God, this is the life. And then that person did 15, 20 years in prison. And then when I was 18 years old, someone took me out, and they'd turned up in a 575 Maranello Ferrari, same street. The pictures are just, you've got a boarded up house with a £290,000 car with a private reg again. And they built this property portfolio, and they're free. They're living every day. They're doing the tennis. They're doing the golf. They're going to the football and stuff. And I go, well, they both got the same things.
Yeah.
And I've seen this happen a little bit earlier on. I'd rather just work. And if I don't get there, at least I've got the freedom. And I think it's the freedom that's always scared the life out of me of prison. I couldn't think of anything worse. Maybe that's the entrepreneurship, but someone confined in me, and you don't have a say in what you're doing. That has always been, obviously, the respect for the parents, but two, it's choices. And I think this gets lost certainly in Salford and certainly in the younger generation. We have choices. Everyone, oh, I did this and I did this. And I get some people are forced into it at an early age and stuff. And I could have been, but I still had the choice. And I'd rather take a beating off someone than do something that I didn't want to do. And that's how it was. And that happened quite frequently, not to myself, but to groups of friends or people in the area. You'd say no, or you'd go down the wrong path. And these people would...
Ironically, the wrong path is probably the right path, but they interpret it to be the wrong path.
Yeah. So I think I was surrounded by it. Growing up, there was no getting away from it. My friends' dads and families that I grew up in, but there was that respect at home. And I'm not saying these people don't have respect. It comes in obviously all different forms, but I watched my mum and dad work so hard.
Yeah, you couldn't do that to them.
Well, I watched someone go to prison very early on in my life, and I watched it just destroy their family. And when you talk about terraced house facing terraced house, these are people that you just grew up with for, for 15, 20 years. They watch you take your first steps and stuff. And then all of a sudden you see someone putting a duffel bag, a balaclava and a sledgehammer in the boot, and you go, and then someone turns up in a 5 Series BMW who doesn't have a driving license, and you go, oh, that's cool. And then you go, oh, they've just been sent down for 13 years. It's not really that cool.
Yeah, it's less cool now,
in the moment, it's like, oh yeah. But I suppose it was so frequent. You'd see these people have these nice cars, have this nice watches and stuff, and then you wouldn't see them for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's fleeting, isn't it?
They just, it's, very materialistic lifestyle. There's no foundation that can be built for future generations because a lot of them get it taken away from them. And it's so short-lived. What
was your first steps then from sort of 18? You've maybe had your eyes open to another way, like with the property side of things.
From 15,
right?
So 15, the school, was probably a great base of life skills, not learning skills. I got kicked out of school at 15. They asked me to leave and then come back for my exams. So when I was 15 and they asked me to leave, I went straight onto the building site. The building site was very close to the school, not too far from where we are today. And whether it was good, whether it was bad, but I thought it was the bee's knees because I'm on the building site.
You can see school.
I can see school. I'm getting a couple of £100 a week. I'm 15 years old. Yeah. I've got a good physique because I'm labouring. I'm bricks, mortar, sand, cement, old school. Like I look back now and I think I'd never do that. But you've got like a 1620 brick hoist on your shoulder with one hand going up a ladder 3 floors that's tied on with a bit of blue rope. But I was in great shape. And all the girls used to walk past to get to school. So I'm there working and I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've got money.
Yeah, and I'm loaded as well.
Yeah, cinema later. Yeah. I went back for my exams. I couldn't even remember or tell you how I did in them exams.
Had you just not got on with school?
It was that being in the room, being taught, I always felt like it was, and obviously it's organised and it's, the format of it just doesn't engage me at all, of that pre-scriptedness of school.
So how did that affect you in the actual sort of school class environment?
Just like to talk,
just so not necessarily naughty as such, just distracting.
I could do the work, very sort of short attention span.
Yeah,
art, great. IT, great. Sport, great. Maths, you sort of get to a point with maths where you think you can do it.
Yeah. I can add up. I can take away. I'll be all right.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, that's a bigger number. I'm like, well, I've been doing it since primary school. And you sort of go, history or RE, religious education, sex education. Like, I'm born and raised in Salford here. Most people at 15 have got kids. Like, there's not much
more than the teacher.
Yeah. These girls sat there pregnant, and he's trying to say about putting something on a banana. I'm like, mate, you missed that boat, So I felt like obviously when the policemen come into the school already knew.
Yeah.
And what happened was there was a school in sort of Odsall that combined with our school. The 2 schools didn't get on.
Obviously.
And it was just chaos. And then as I started leaving, everyone had sort of mingled in the year 10, year 11. You'd sort of mingled because you'd been together for 2 or 3 years and you're like, yeah, we're all in the same school. But by that time, you'd sort of gone. I suppose as well, as I mentioned before, my friends were, when I was 15, they were 18, 19, 20 through the street that I grew up. So I was always 3 or 4 years younger, but I was always with an older crowd.
Mature.
Yeah, I was with an older crowd, and I was sort of keen to work, earn. I'm in school, you're just passing the day.
So then what did you do? So you were labouring.
So I was on the building site. I was doing bricks and mortar. And what we used to do is we used to get these 2 3-bedroom terraced houses. We'd take the roof off. we'd put another course of brick in. We'd elevate the roof. So from a pitch roof, we'd make it more of a flat roof, and we'd add another course in, and we'd add two beds per floor as apartments. Over time, the owner had acquired the street, and then I'd go into the properties, and then I would carpet, fit, tile, plumb, basic electrics, and then we get someone to come in and sign it all off. And then final job would be pretty much we'd paint, then carpet, generally put a bit of furniture up, and then I was just out on the street having a cup of tea or brew on the wall. One thing I always learn, and one thing you see today about people smoking and vaping and stuff, you get why people do certain things, and it's always frustrated me when you've been in somewhere, and I understand it from other people that don't smoke. You don't get these breaks. People go, oh, I smoke, so I have 4 or 5 breaks a day. And builders, obviously, when we're on the building site, it's freezing cold, so you're having that cup, and I'm like, I hate tea, I hate coffee. But if I say I don't want a tea or a coffee, they're just going to let me carry on the roof.
Yeah, you don't get a break.
Like, yeah, I'm having it. And I'd just throw it away at the end. So I'd be outside, and I'm head to toe in paint, where I've been painting the ceilings, and I'm covered in spray. And some students would turn up, and they'd be there for a viewing, and the viewing rep wouldn't turn up, or they'd be late. So because I was painting the room, I knew which one it was, and just my natural ability or natural thought process would be, show them round. Why let them wait? I know what they're going to see, and I know the price of it. And then this sort of happened a few times. So I'm going from sort of 15, 16, 17 now. And they just all kept going back to the office to sign up. And then they said, Ryan, we'd love you to do the lettings. And I'm like, great. Here we go. I'm getting out of my painting gear. I'm not on the building site anymore. I'm moving up. Yeah. I'm moving up. So I had a conversation. So they go, so what you can do, 8:30 till 12, do the painting. And then from 12:30 till 6, do the viewing. So
thanks very much.
Right, okay. So we'd have these bedrooms or 1-bed apartments. There was different studios and stuff. I'd paint. In the bottom of the wardrobe, I'd have jeans and a T-shirt. And then I'd literally eat a sandwich while I'm getting changed. And then I'd just be covered in paint doing these viewings. And then by the time I was 18, 19, this had carried on. And one thing I always learned was from a mentor who's still a great mentor to me today. And we used to come in on a Saturday and Sunday in the office, just me and him, and we'd spend a couple of hours. And he used to say, don't worry about all your friends making more money than you. He said, because when you're sat in here in this office, you can't spend your money. And I was like, and
good advice.
Obviously he knew my friends were older. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense. And he's doing the maths, and he goes, blah, blah, blah. By the end of the year, you'll be up on all of them if you do this. And I was like, right, okay, great. And then we'd get 8-9 days with overtime, because I'd be jumping back in and I'd be painting till 1 o'clock to have a quick turnaround. So by the time I was 18, 19, I was looking after the whole portfolio. The portfolio was probably worth around £15 million.
Wow.
And 18th birthday come, turned up in the Ferrari, took me round, went over to the villa in Spain, private pool, 3-story in the harbour and stuff. And you go, yeah, I'll just do this.
Yeah, whatever you've done, I'll do the same, please.
Yeah, and I was at there was that stage between 16, 17, 18, 19 when you're clubbing and you're in that crowd. But then the day-to-day was someone that had gone to university, bought the house that was his student accommodation and rented it to his friends, and then built this property. And I was like, that's great. That's what I want to do. And we had this number on the board. It was like 300 and then 250. And I was like, well, what's the 300? And they're properties that he hadn't acquired, he'd acquired, but we weren't at maximum occupancy. So he didn't have the funds or didn't want to refurbish them. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, there's my target. And then 2021, we'd got 100% occupancy. We had about 80, 90 housing benefit DSS and 210 student. There was a lot of sort of life lessons in there. One of the biggest was when they paid the housing benefit DSS direct, to give people that some sort of don't know if credibility is
Like
the
responsibility,
responsibility. And our rent arrears went to 60,000 the following month
Wow.
because the people that had been on job seekers for 15, 20 years had gone to the bank account, coming down off a high and going, oh, there's 350 quid in my bank account, and just went and spent it. So we managed to navigate that down to probably 5 or 10,000. But I was door knocking, going to properties where there's, you know, dogs coming at us, and you see the people living in the ginnel at the back, and I'm like, why are you living in the ginnel? You've got this massive house here that we rent to you. Turns out the whole house was kitted out as a weed farm, and it was only when the rent arrears come that we found out. I used to have a lot of scenarios like that on a day-to-day, but we'd buy in bulk, so there's a lot of lessons. You know, we'd buy mattresses in bulk. We'd buy 10, 15, 20 mattresses at a time. I'd show people around these 5, 6, 7-bed HMO properties, and I'd say, if you want to take it, I'll give you a new mattress. And they'd be like, oh, really? Well, everyone was getting a new mattress anyway. Yeah. But there was something about a new mattress being in a cellophane rate
100%
when you moved in. So they took the room. And then when I was 18, I went to Salford University. One of my friends had got me a fake student ID. So I used to train at Salford University gym. So I thought, if I can get in with the sports lads, what I was looking for was big groups, because we had 7 bed houses in a row. We had 5 of them in a row, and we had 8 beds. We had 6 of them in a row. So you're looking for big groups of people, really. You don't want individuals filling it up. You want someone to take it as a group, and then if someone leaves,
they'll have somebody else within the friendship group.
Well, they're splitting the rent.
Yeah, true.
So I got into the nurses at Salford University, Salford Royal, and then got into the football lads. And I said to the football lads, if you want to live next door to the nurses, I've got a house here. And then I said to the rugby lads, are you going to let the football lads live next door to the nurses? And all of a sudden, we just got fuller and fuller and fuller. But I would go to Salford University. It was crazy to think the rent roll and the portfolio was worth so much money, or certainly for me, it was worth so much money. And I had very minimal budget. I remember we got some A5 flyers for about £25-30, and I went to Salford University car park and I flyed every single car, and that was the marketing budget. And I used to have some neon card that I would cut and put in the window, room to rent. And I was like, and you look at the marketing that
how
people
did that
do.
Work? Yeah. But old school works.
But I know why it works. Yeah. Because I was one of the first people to sort of have a flyer with a BBM code, and my work phone was a BBM, and add me on BBM, and my status would be rooms from £75 a week, bills included. And I would speak to my mentor and say, I'm going out tonight. Do you want to give me some money? And I'll connect with a few people, and he'd give me some money. My friend would give me a load of VIP wristbands. I would buy a load of shots, and then you would add all these people on BBM. So I'll give you a VIP wristband. Who's this guy giving me a wristband? I'd pay for the shots, so there'd be 100 shots there. I think it was like £1 a shot or something. And then the next day, I changed my status to looking for a room. And in its earliest, most natural form,
networking at its finest, isn't
it? It was. And I spoke to people about this previously, and I didn't really understand what I was doing. All I was doing was, how do I get these people to come and rent a room from me? I don't have any, at the time, social. Facebook was just about a thing, but LinkedIn wasn't a thing, and students wouldn't have been on LinkedIn anyway that we were after. How do I target? I knew where my target audience was, the university. The housing benefit just filled themselves. It was the students, what was the bulk of the portfolio. And it was going where they were, having a good time, as we spoke about before, the experience. So going and doing something that I want to do with my target audience. I'd have a night out, I'd network, I'd meet people and just have a good time. And then adding business into that. But I've always found if you get on with people, the business will naturally come.
It happens, doesn't it? Yeah.
It happens, because I don't, and I still don't, and I won't ever do business with people that I don't like. there's enough business to go around. And sometimes people go, "You're crazy," but I go, I have a choice, as we mentioned
100%,
before,
so important.
To work with who I want to work with, and time is so short. Doing what I want to do, where I want to do it, how I want to do it, and it's that freedom to say, could you have got roped into it? Could you not? Very easily on multiple occasions, but I remove myself out of them situations. You know, you're in the pubs, you're in the clubs where all this stuff's happening. You grew up in the streets, but you go, I'll just take a step back. I don't want to get in that car. I don't want to, be in that environment. And everything happens. I'm a massive believer in everything happens for a reason. And I had some really hard life lessons of other people's examples, and sort of like the sobriety choice that I have now. You sort of watch other people's mistakes, or you watch other people's successes. And what I seen was people that weren't working correctly, in my opinion, but had all these things, but it was very short-lived. And I seen someone that had built something, and I was like,
I'll follow that path.
That's what I want to follow, And I was fortunate to have that example, but I also believe I'd put myself in that position because when I got kicked out of school, I could have just stayed at home.
Well, exactly, and it's the culmination of those little points, isn't it? You could have stayed at home. When you're on the building site, you could have. A lot of people wouldn't show them around. They'd have gone, well, I'm a painter, so why the hell would I show them around?
Yeah.
But it's those little moments that then add up, isn't it? I always think.
Well, it's the parents. My mum, she's absolutely everything to me. She would do anything for anyone, and it was that solid. Everyone would come to our door, or she goes over the top with the family and stuff, and she'd give you the last pound out of her purse even if she didn't know you. And I sometimes have to go, Mum, what you doing?
Yeah.
But then I've learned so much from her, and you see that character, and that's where I think you have the choice of how you want to be, and you pick. I always try to pick the best parts of people of what I would do, and I know that. And for a period of time, I worked with my mum, and she'd get the properties ready, and she'd clean them and stuff. Another job that she'd clean them in between the student turnover. So I'd paint and decorate them. She'd come in and do the duvets and put some lamps out and stuff like that. And it's just helping. It's helping people, but it's actually your job as well. So it's always going above and beyond. And I think anyone in any job, if you want to get on, you have to go above and beyond.
Yeah, 100%. It's a way to stand out for free. Doesn't cost you anything, does it?
Well, it's all results led. And I know there's a development on Chapel Street in Salford. It's a converted town hall, and I'll never forget. I was doing a viewing, and everyone said, "Oh, we can't sell this property." I said, "Why not?" And I went, and there's rubbish in the hallways, and they were waiting for the cleaner to come and get it, but there wasn't a cleaner that comes and takes your black bin out. You have to take it round the back. So, and when you instantly regret doing something, but you think, no, stick to your principles. Yeah. And I picked this rubbish bag up, and I carried it out, and it must have been like chocolate milk or something. And I'd look behind me, and where I took the bin bag, I walked back in, ready to do the viewing, thinking, make it nice and presentable, move the... Because in reality, if that person lived there, they may not leave the bag out there, so why should they see it in that format? I'm not going to start tidying pots and pans and stuff, but rubbish in the communal areas, I'll tidy some books up, or I'll move the fire extinguisher away from the door and stuff. And I thought, why have you done that? That's a sign that you shouldn't have moved that bag. But then I went in, I said... Is there any chance you've got some kitchen roll or some toilet roll? And I'm suited and booted, and I'm going down, and it's it's the town hall, and it was so long, this trail, but I thought, you ain't got a mop and bucket. So I got some tissue, and I've got it on my shoe, and I'm cleaning the hall, threw it away, and sold the property. And how have you done that? I said, because actually everything's good depending on how you present it, but some people go, I'm not going to move that bag, it's not mine. But the way I was brought up was move the bag.
Yeah, take ownership, take responsibility.
Responsibility to get the result that you desire.
So how did you go from obviously working for the mentor that you said, to then starting your own business? Like, do you remember that being a very clear decision in your head you wanted to do that?
So all along this time in property, I've always thought, what do I want to do when I grow up? And now I'm 20 years in property, and I'm still like, it was funny, last year I said to someone, looks like I'm doing property.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, I'm on the building site, I wonder what my career is going to be. I wonder what I'm going to do. I knew I can play every sort of sport there is, but there isn't one that I'm absolutely fantastic and I'm going to be a footballer like obviously a lot of people want to be for that money.
Not at your age, mate.
No. And is it going to be an office job? Is it going to be something? I always like to be creative, but I thought, I don't even know where I want to start, because school wasn't any sort of direction. And that probably one of my issues with the school system is there's no like, you're good at this, let's go down this avenue, and sort of start steering you and guiding you in them last couple of years. This is what you can do if you hone in on your talents. It's a case of the door's shut, go and work. Well, where? What do you want to do?
And you just take a lucky guess, don't you?
Yeah, well, I had no desire, because of the format of school, to go to college or university. No one I grew up with went to college or university. And I wanted to make money. And I knew that didn't warrant money. And I just thought, I don't want that system. So when we sold the business around 2015, we got 100% occupancy for sort of 2 or 3 years that I was looking after the portfolio. And we sold it in a couple of different segments. So that was my first sort of realization of someone's life work being sold and distributed. We were, I was dealing with local authority, and they were coming after us because at the time it was probably Salford's largest private landlord. So there were so many changes in the rules and regulations. What people think today, we had very easy. But at the time we said, this is just going on a slope. We went from 30-minute fire resistant doors. We had to change 60 doors to 30-minute fire resistant. And you say, fair enough, they should be the front doors. If that's the new rules and regulations, what I don't agree with is 12 months later, and this is 66 fittings, 66 purchases, 66 disrupted tenants, 12 months later saying these need to be 60-minute. And we were like, what? We've just done them. If you want to keep these rented, they need to be 60-minute. Right, okay. Intermittent fire detectors. Right, okay. This, and that. Right, okay. And it was a case of you're spending so much and your margin's going down. And then the big change was obviously you used to be able to deduct your mortgage off your profit, your gross. And then obviously when that changed, it sort of skew-whiffed a lot of the model. So we sold that business, and I was sort of too young to sort of go, right, well, I've had enough. And to be honest, it's never something we spoke about earlier on. That's never been the goal. It's not to say all I want to do is work, but you see these people retire and you go, for what?
Yeah, to do what?
Depending on your lifestyle balance, I still do them stuff during the day or of an evening or of a weekend and stuff, and I still that whole balance stuff. So we basically, there was no sort of infrastructure as a business to what had been created. So I never knew about inventories, inspections, deposits. Our deposit scheme at the time was your name, Edda, £300 envelope, safe. Someone comes back at the end of the year, what's your name? Yeah. And we didn't know what the condition the property was in or not. You just got your envelope back, and we'd have 300 envelopes in the safe of all these deposits. So learning about the deposit protection scheme and all this sort of stuff. So I just went working for a high street estate agency. I was fortunate that I didn't need the money. I needed the education. And I thought, if I want to do this, I want to do it correctly, because borrowing when my mentor started was not borrowing when
correct
I was in my early career. There was a lot of sort of rules and regulations and a lot of under the microscope stuff. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it correctly and learn all about it. So I went working with a high street estate agent. They taught me how to do the inventories, do the inspections, doing the marketing. Bear in mind, my marketing was the flyers, you know, some
The
stock
neon sign,
some stock images through the through car windows and stuff. So went and did the high street estate agency thing, and then built a couple of developments in between. Then we built 15 apartments. We converted the old vicarage, which is a church, into 15 rooms. Built a new one, which was 15 rooms at the back on the ground. So we had an old vic and a new vicarage. Built 30 apartments, and then built 45 apartments, and then started taking investment for next projects, and then seen these cars going around the city centre. And I'll never forget it, because most high street estate agencies, they would have these Polos or Fiats. They'd be like the smallest car, the most eco-friendly cars, and they'd be all branded. And then where I was based at number 1 Deansgate on Manchester city centre, you'd see these BMWs go past 5 Series, all branded up, New York, Dubai, all this. I was like, what is that property company doing? I applied to the company. They didn't have a position available. They said, if you'd like to start with us, we've got something that, looking at your CV, you should be able to do. And again, get your foot in the door, make it work, and show them your worth. That's always been my mentality. Started working there. They sent me all around the world, selling off-plan properties, offering asset disposal services. And then I'd built up a department from me and a part-time administrator to sort of 17, 18 staff, 60, 70 grand in year 1, £2 million in year 4. And every year I'd sort of asked to buy into that business. I thought, I'm all in. It was my baby. I'd grew it from nothing, but I knew I didn't own it. It was someone else's. And I'd seen, you know, at this time, there's a lot of YouTube videos and social media, you know, don't build something for someone else, and all these mottos and stuff. And it's not as simple as them memes that people put out. But I knew I wanted a slice of it. You're doing the forecast, you're doing the board report every single month, and your numbers are just jumping up. And because I've got that 7-day mentality in there, they're sending me all around the world because they know I can be 2 or 3 people's role when I'm over there. So I did the Middle East, I did Asia, and then the opportunity, we had COVID during that period. The opportunity never arose. I was informed that it was never going to be on the cards for me. My son had been born. He was a year old. Every year I'd sort of asked, and I said, I'm not going to do it that year. Took a nice bonus, and then I said, I've got to do it. I'm going to put, at the time, 16 years of property experience and hard work and sort of concept into fruition for myself. And that's what I did. I sort of pulled the trigger due to not being able to get what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of the first time where I've not been able to have it my own way. And you sort of think...
But you probably needed that, didn't you?
I needed that. And everyone sort of knows their own self-worth. I probably had more confidence in my own self-worth, like I think everyone should, but of my own ability through I would get the job done by any means necessary.
Yeah.
I would always hit the target, whether I've got 10 sales staff and I need to do 5 sales. They know that I'm going to do 5 sales, even though I don't need to because I'm the manager. They knew I would do that. And I thought, I had that COVID period, loads of people got furloughed, and March, April, May of a 60, 65 person company, there's 5 people not furloughed, me and 4 directors, and I did 20, 25 sales a month in March, April, May of the worst COVID months. And I was like, if this is the worst that asset disposal can get, because we're not selling off-plan stuff, we're selling people's assets. If this is the worst it can get, I can do this for myself. And I was in a great position where I'd seen off-plan property sales deteriorate and resales just be where they were, because you're always sitting on that fine edge of there's always someone looking to buy and there's always someone looking to sell. Mm-hmm. When you're selling off-plan, there's times where people don't want to buy. Yeah. Whereas when you've got an asset, people might have to reduce. People did take less money, but there's people out there waiting for these opportunities in the markets, in every market, to wait for the price to go down, for the pound to go down, for the value to go down, and they'll come and buy bulk. We've been seeing people and companies go liquid for the last couple of years, knowing what's coming on the horizon for the property market. So I got through that COVID period, come back, and I'd sort of had one crossword with the owner of the company, which was the first in sort of 4 years. And basically told me, if I don't like it, go and start my own effing company. And I was, okay. So I don't, if people remember COVID, but some people won't have had a great time, but I had a great time. My son was 4 or 5 months old, and I just got 5 or 6 months in the garden with him, landscaping my garden. On the head, it was like some American TV show. I'm doing sales, my son's there in the garden, and I'm landscaping the garden. I was like, this is how work should be.
Yeah.
I'm going in, flicking the kettle on, and doing a form and doing a sale. And when we had these, well, it wasn't crosswords on my behalf. Someone that they thought was working wasn't working, and I'm just like, well, I'm not bothered about that person. I'm never bothered about an individual. I'm bothered about someone that can assist the group. And when someone says, "Oh, this person's working," and I'm like, well, I'm telling you they're not, but I'm not bothered about the person individually. I just need the person's work.
Yeah, done.
Done. Yeah. So I went in, and I don't really know where the sort of design come from. There's a combination of things over the years that sort of led to it. One of them was a bottle of gin that had been brought. One of them was a prop that my dad used to bring on. One was L.S. Lowry, famous Salford artist. And I sort of just writ Mr Investa on a piece of paper, and I drew the bowler hat. And then the light bulb moment for the sort of fun side of the Charlie Chaplin, light bulb goes off, that comedy moment, but then that light bulb moment being the bright idea of percentage being buying something that's built and tenanted. That was the whole bright idea. And I sent it, and I sometimes share the picture on social media because people go, oh, right, okay, like it's a very rough sketch to what it is today. But I sent it over to the person that used to design the flyers for me for the club nights. And he come back and we did a few different sketches, and I went, that's it. So that year, as we come out of COVID, November, I said, I've got my meeting. If I don't get my say in the business or a percentage, and this was all performance based, give me a target, use my own money to buy in.
I always think that's the most short-sighted thing in the world. Like you could have been building a
I'd still be there.
within, yeah, exactly,
I'd still be there. It's
exactly.
crazy. And I actually say to myself, it's crazy because if I'd have got what I wanted in that moment, I'd still be there, and it would have been the worst thing that ever happened to me and my family. And I had the logo designed up. I had rough costings of office and what I'd need to do, or what I thought I needed to do.
Yeah. The naivety of that stage is beautiful, isn't
it? Yeah. It's different when you've got someone saying, what do you think of this marketing? And I'm scribbling and going, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a cool logo.
And the phone just works, and your email just works, and there's no people behind that. It just works. So I went into the meeting fully confident. I get my bonus, and I get my stake in the company, and I'm there. Happy days. Louis won at the time, and things are on the right track. And I was very well looked after in terms of salary from the company. Overpaid for what my role would have been, but I knew the value that I was within that company. And if it doesn't go my way, you're talking to someone here that you get 25 days holiday, and at the end of the year, I've still got 15 days left. And people don't, I appreciate that. And I see people doing that because I come from that. You're working all the time. You're on every show. You're on every exhibition. You're in the office Saturdays and Sundays. And when you're in a big office and there's only you in on a Saturday or Sunday, and you're the highest on the scoreboard, there's a reason.
Yeah.
So it didn't go my way. So I think I had 15 days. So basically, November meeting, took December off, signed up to an office, and then in January went back for probably the best meeting that I've ever gone to. I'll never forget it. This is the first day back of the team meeting, because obviously I've not given my notice in yet. And the owner goes, I took enough rubbish last year, in not so little words. I'm not sure whether you can swear on here or not. And I won't do it this year. There'll be some people here that won't be here in a couple of months. So, all right, okay. No, scrap that. There won't be some people here next month. No, scrap that. There won't be some people here next week. I was like, this is the first big meeting, 60 staff back after Christmas. This is the motivational speech.
Yeah.
And I was
Get everyone
like,
set up for the year.
I was like, and I've got my diary, which I'm always there to take my notes, and I've got my notice underneath in an envelope. And he goes, I don't need to be here. He says, I can go downstairs, get in my Porsche, drive home, and jump in my swimming pool.
What a prick.
I'm like, wow, everyone's looking, and there's a few people looking at me going, like, this is the start. And I'm like, that is crazy. So obviously in a super foul mood, meeting's over, I go in, hi Ryan, how's it going, you okay? Because I'm the performer, I'm the top performer there. So shut the door. Sometimes stuff would be said to me to direct to the team.
Sure.
But never personally directly to me, because I wouldn't have took it, because I knew how hard I worked. And I said, just want to give you this. And there was just this complete silence, reading it. And then there was no upper handedness from me. I'm a professional. I always have been. I've always been courteous and aware of one thing I've always done in my career is never slam a door. Even if you want to, I'll always leave it ajar, because you never know when you need that person, or there's an opportunity to collaborate. So he doesn't know what to say to me. So he turns around and goes, well, you didn't need to give me this. You could have just sent a text or an email. I was like, all right. So out of these 4 years of building this business, that's your response to try and get the upper hand. So I just responded and I said, well, I've been professional from day one. And I'll be professional till my last day, and this is how I believe you should leave a company correctly. Always, you never know what the future lies and stuff. And he turns around and he goes, yeah, you're probably right, because he'd realised in that moment that he thought I wasn't trying to get any upper-handedness, but he'd been caught off guard. But there wasn't that. I'd give multiple years of service an opportunity to make me part of something bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
And
short-sighted on his part.
Short-sighted, but I learn off every person. And there's a lot of people out there that some people that I know very well that I believe are superstars, but they're part of the cog for other people. And you go, you could do this on your own. And like most people, some people are meant to be employed, some people are meant to be employers. And I realized in that moment it was never on the cards for me. So I could have been there another 2 years. And even if he said set a target really, really high, I'd have worked my backside off to try and hit that target and gone. And I may have fell short, but I'd have still been there.
Yeah.
But to turn around and say it's never going to be on the cards for you, well, why am I here then?
Daft, isn't it?
I'm at my peak.
Yeah.
We're doing 45, 50 property sales a month. It's huge. You've gone from a couple of £1,000 a month to £250,000 a month. It's big numbers, and you sort of get ring fenced in by watches and cars, and you go, well, I couldn't earn this money anywhere else, and you go, but I only have that stuff because I'm there, because I'm not really bothered about it. I've always been surrounded by materialistic people and stuff. As long as I've got a car that gets me to A to B, I'm not really bothered. So I took the plunge, and then set up in February, and didn't really know what to do. I had no properties to sell. I had no contacts to call. I just thought, if I can put myself out there and try and display what I know, what my experience is, hopefully that will attract some audience. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget the first couple of months in the office, and you're making your packed lunch, you're trying to save money, and I've got Netflix on, and I'm sort of watching Netflix, and and the phone's plugged in, and I'm like, well, no one's going to ring it because no one knows who you are, and you haven't got anything to sell them. And I'm sort of like,
where do I even start?
So I started putting some videos out there. I started putting some educational videos out there, sort of spoke to a few people. They were sort of like, I'm glad you've done it. I'm glad you've gone on your own. You deserve it and stuff like that. Here's 1 or 2 properties. Made everything I could out of them properties in terms of content, video tutorials, marketing, and demonstrations. I used to have a whiteboard, which is becoming more common now on social media, which makes me laugh because I used to have a whiteboard, and the clips, I've got like 25, 30 clips per clip that I had to make because I was trying to write the numbers on the board that I'm trying to remember. But now everyone has the numbers and they just point to the numbers. And I'm like, I was trying
I think of that? Yeah.
I was trying to do it as if like, oh yeah, $850 a month, 1,200 service charge. And I was like, what? And the clips are so, there's enough content to release there. But all of a sudden, once I was sat in an apartment and I just turned around and I said, hi everyone, it's Ryan here, aka Mr Investa. And one of my friends who works for a big branding company went, don't ever stop that. He said, I said, but everyone's going, Mr Investa, Mr Investa. And I was like, he went, I know.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah.
He said, everyone
lean into it.
Lean into it. And so for a year and a half, 2 years, I massively leaned into it. The stock come quick. We sort of by no means pioneered it, but we certainly started it in the UK. You know, Sunset, watching Sunset and all these American documentaries and Selling Manhattan and $1 Million Listing and stuff like that. I was always a massive fan of MTV Cribs. One of my most favourite shows ever. And I think, are these real houses? And then you start dealing with £1 million apartments and blocks for 10 million and stuff. And all of a sudden, because I kept that level of service up with myself, I knew that I took the same mentality when I was working for someone as I did when I was working for myself, which is why that other business was successful. If a lead come in at 8, 9 o'clock, I knew none of my sales consultants were going to email, but I would respond and say, thanks for your email. Please, can you answer cash, mortgage, first-time investor, existing investor? And then the next morning, my sales consultants would have a warmed-up lead. But that's why we got the numbers, and I didn't want any praise for that because I made it work, and that's what I was paid to do. When you do that for yourself, you win the business from start to finish. And when the estate agents are closed and someone's getting the conversation that they need at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night,
makes the world of difference. I used to do exactly the same with my business.
And that was it. It's still the same now, 7 days a week, but it's the choices, it's the balance. And what I do now is I will get my hair cut at 11 o'clock in the afternoon when the barber's is quiet.
Because you'll still be working at 9 tonight.
Correct. And I will do the emails first thing in the morning. Then I will do the school run. But I will pop in on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Friday night. I try not to miss any of my son's sort of classes and bits and pieces because that's my most enjoyment. So when we talked about fishing and golf and football and stuff like that, my sort of purpose now is him. My most joy is from him. I still love doing stuff myself and mingling and having a laugh with the lads and going for food and stuff like that. But I did a lot of that. You know, I did club nights from probably 17 to 21, 22. And I was out 3 or 4 nights a week. But because I was networking and because I needed students, it was just easy work to me. But you're going on 2 or 3 lads' holidays every year because you've got the money to. So I've had my lads' holiday fill. Yeah. By the time I'm 30, it sounds stupid, but when you're going away 3 or 4 times a year and you're going out 3 or 4 nights a week, big nights as well.
You spent that, yeah.
you sort of go,
I've done it. I've done it. Yeah.
And then as you get older and you go, what do I need to improve as a business? And everyone goes, everyone will analyze the business. And this is one thing that I've sort of really doubled down on. Everyone will analyze the business. And to my point before, why is the phone not ringing? Why are we not getting properties to list? Why are we not getting sales in any sort of business? It could be the signage on the door in McDonald's. It could be the latest offer. And you analyze every point, your footfall, your traffic, your impressions, everything. But you come back to the basics of no one ever analyzes themselves. And a couple of years ago, I was like, I need to analyze myself as a person, as an individual. And me and alcohol just don't have a good relationship, in terms of you partied so much when you're younger that the older you get, you're still accustomed to it. And there's so many events and socials that are drinks orientated, but I go, I'm here for business.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like these people, but I'm not here for a beer and I'm here to go, what do you do? What do you do? I want the business connection. And there's that many times over the years, not since the business, but previously, you go, I don't know who that was. You know, you wake up with a load of
a good time.
You wake up with a load of business cards, and you go, I don't know who that is. I don't know what we spoke about, and we didn't really speak about anything because we were dancing on the dance floor till 2:00 in the morning. You know, so it's like I thought, I can't remember who told me, but they said, Ryan, 10:30, 11:00. Nothing good happens. You don't miss out on anything. Usually it was in an awards ceremony, networking event. After the last award, nothing good happens. And to be honest, towards the end of the awards, nothing really good happens. You go in, you see who's sat where, who you want to network with, go over to the table, introduce yourself. You might as well leave. And that's what I do to a lot of events. I'll go there, speak to a few people that I want to connect with. Do my job. Just the efficiency of it. There's no networking that should be like a 3-4 hour event.
Then you can get back and be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for the little one, can't you?
Yeah, and that's always been my that purpose there. So nothing ever happens after that time. So the alcohol was just making it later. So I didn't have like hiding bottles of vodka under the table and stuff. But if I was out, I was out. And you get invited to...
Yeah, you couldn't say no almost.
Well, you get invited to the opening of an envelope when you've got a bit of buzz around the business. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we'll come there. Yeah, we'll come there. Because you feel like everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone wants to be a connection. And then you find out they're not. They just want your network. And one thing I found over the past couple of years is people want your network.
Yeah.
And I go, I work really hard for this. Yeah. And you've got people trying to follow your followers. And people are like, oh, who's this? And I'm like... What like
so you've worked hard to build that.
Yeah, you've worked really hard, and these people that I now associate myself with, very, very hard to not build some rapport over, you know, some of them 10 years to now be on a weekly or every couple of weeks conversation with them because of the level that they're at. And people just think, oh, you can just walk into that. And I'm like, I've been doing this my whole career, building these foundations, building a personal brand, building a business brand, and it takes time, but there's loads of effort into it. But one thing I do now, like with the friends and network scenario, is I don't waste my time or my energy, because you know who certain people are and who you want to surround yourself with. It's great to be around a wealth manager and they invite you to something, but actually they want your clients. They're not going to give you clients. And that's one thing that I found. And if someone lies to me, I'm where I was brought up.
That's me, mate. Yeah, I'm like that. It's game over then.
As soon as I find out you lie, because it all comes out in the end, and I'm not really bothered if you want to invite someone somewhere and not invite me, no skin off my nose. But if you lie about it, then I've got every problem, because it's not the actual situation; it's actually you as a character. So what else are you lying about? And because I've grew up on characteristics of people, and because of people all over the world that we deal with, you sort of know this person's going to email you really late at night, this person's going to WhatsApp you or WeChat you, or this person is just going to lie. They're going to tell you they want 2 properties, they only want 1, and they might pull out of that one. You just know how it goes. So not choosing alcohol over the past couple of years has been the best thing for clarity, my own mental health. There was a period where I was leaving work and then I'd go to the pub and I'd have a beer, and it's not, and people, when you say you're sober, people go, must have been bad. I go, no, I've just chose not to have it in my system for the clarity of it, even the 1 or 2 Peronis. And what I found was I just needed that detachment from home chaos to work chaos in between, just that 10, 15 minutes to set
Didn't
myself.
probably need to be, but it could have been anything else, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But you needed something.
I don't know. I think.
Oh, really?
Well, I have this
like
tension.
I quite like I like a commute, like that little break between being at work and being at home. Whereas if I'm at home and I just shut the laptop and then I'm straight into it, I struggle with that.
Yeah, well, I always feel like there's this pressure of seriousness in life, and I have this tense part on my shoulders, or the traps, and if I have one beer, it just eases up. And then the second beer, these two things that are so tense and tight, even right now as we talk, they like disappear. And that's dangerous, because what happens is that email that you said you was going to do, you go, I'll do that tomorrow. That phone call that I put off, I'll ring back tomorrow, or I'll text and WhatsApp. Whereas now if someone rings, I ring straight back. If I email straight back, and I'm all about passing it back. And it's just leveling up from my original 8-9 o'clock responses. And I found that the sobriety and the clarity, there's nothing worse, and I've never done it, but I know a lot of people that have done it. You're out and you're in the middle of Albert Slosh and you're dancing on a table, and then you email a client back and it's all gibberish. You go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I've been in Albert Slosh and I've been dancing on a table, sober as a judge, and then emailed a client back, and it sealed a deal. I don't need the alcohol to have a good time, but I thought I did previously, because of the confidence of maybe who I was, what I was doing. The first 2 years of the company, so nervous.
Yeah.
Because I know. And
you feel like an imposter, don't you?
No, but I knew people were laughing. I knew people were laughing. People were going...
They always laugh until they think it's a success, and then all of a sudden...
Well, these people now do the same content.
Yeah, sure they do. Yeah.
These people are all doing the content going, hi, it's me from who... Let me show you around this property.
Yeah.
But when it's me with my phone... And I still... People lose that. Like, I do it raw in the moment, and it's me, and it's not rehearsed. And we've had some great bloopers that I couldn't put on, but then I will put them on as a blooper. But these people have got the best camera equipment. They've got the scripts and stuff. And Coots Bank and stuff, and JP Morgan are doing them now on Instagram. And you can see them watching the teleprompter. Like, what are you doing? People engage with myself, the business, because of the rawness of it. They go, but there's now, hundreds of millions of pounds worth of property available on the website. When you've got one or two and you're doing it, everyone goes,
it's easy to look at it now and go, oh, it was obviously going to work, or whatever.
What happened was, there was a few people, you'd be walking around Manchester City Centre, or you go to the shows and exhibitions, and they start coming to see you. They go, I love your videos. I love your videos. And what happened was, and I'm the biggest to do it, I like your shoes, I like your trainers, really liked your content. And if I like something, I'll like and I'll share it because I like it, and I won't go, oh, well, you're not having some of my audience. I'm not going to like and comment and share on it and stuff, or pay someone a compliment. So many people are scared to say it, and when people were saying it back to me, I was like, I know how much it takes from that person, so they're being genuine. I really like your content. And I was walking through Spinning Fields one day, and someone went, hey, Mr Investa, and I said, oh, hi, thanks. Like, how do I know you? I said, oh no, you don't know me. He said, I follow you on social. Keep it up. It's great. It's like, what?
Random, but
well, it's not random. It's that impression number that you don't know who they are.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. It's like,
it's like, them people are real people.
Yeah.
There may obviously be multiples in there, but it was like, your reach is bigger than your engagement. And that just encouraged me to do more. And once the stock comes and the sales come, you sort of get a bit of confidence of go, I hope you're laughing at me, and I'll put more out, because I know that it's you people that are watching it that's making it engage with more people. So I'll keep putting more out, and the consistency of it, and I think the exposing yourself, opening yourself up to who you are. Everything that I've done with my businesses, I've just been myself. So like the charity works, anything like that, or the educational side, or the women in property, everything that I've been involved in has been something that I want to do. There's been certain things that other people have suggested, and I'm all open for suggestions, but as you look through it, there's, this team yoga, there's corporate days out, there's nights out. They're not always alcohol related, but I understand that staff want to drink. That's their time off, so they can drink. It doesn't mean it's. I see these people and they do like non-alcoholic events, and I'm like, that's just your choice.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Your staff,
Everyone can have their own choice.
Yeah, they want the fill, don't they? And it's that employee-employer mentality of some people are happy to have that sort of social side of it. So I think putting myself out there was the most, nailed it, the imposter syndrome. But you actually go, I know my stuff. Like, I've been doing it too long. I can tell you how it's built. I can tell you who built it. I can tell you what the rental return is, what the growth is, what the projection is. And it's still scary, and you come up to stuff every single day, but with the clear mind, I'm able to tackle it head on. And now what I try to do, and you look for inspiration around these sort of world leaders, and you look at your Bezos and all these people, and you go, he makes 3 decisions a day. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And you're like, that ain't going to happen.
No,
that
not for a while.
That isn't going to happen. But the concept is the right idea. Making
reducing
the workload is going. Make sure I have no problems with giving full autonomy to someone of a position. I know there's people there that go, I can do it better. You can, and I know my socials I've given them elsewhere, and people have done a worse job. But I'm like, I don't really have time for that. And it's like
something's got to give sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and that person needs to improve, and they can't improve without full autonomy.
Exactly. That.
So it's giving people the responsibility and going, you do sales, you crack on. You're the sales manager. You deal with the problems. You make sure there's the number we've agreed on. You make sure by any means you get that number done. Socials, here's where we want to hit. You do it. You tell me when you need me, where you need me, and what you need me to do. Whether that's pretending to be hit by a bull and it rolls into a video tour, or splashing some water on and then telling someone about the latest deal, you tell me and give them that freedom.
Love that.
It's not when you're being chucked with water. But,
but you trust in the process, right? And you trust in them, more importantly.
If I don't trust them, I can't grow. That's the big one. If I stick my and don't get me wrong, I love the sales. There's nothing better than someone saying, I want this, and you agree a deal and everyone's happy and it completes. There's nothing better than one of your videos going viral or one of your posts going viral. It's just that short hit of dopamine that you just get that high from.
The buzz, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the buzz, and you constantly, there is an element of you try and chase that and it becomes a little less organic. And that's where the studio videos, when you're talking about a property, when you could be in the property, don't have as much feel to them. I'd rather be in the property and people are looking at me and I'm in the middle of the street going, hi, this is the property and stuff. But at first I used to be so daunting. Like my reels from 2020 to 2021, maybe 22, every video has like 30 videos because I just couldn't get it right, or you'd stall, but the more you put yourself out there, the opportunities will come to yourself, and that's what I found.
And what's next for you then?
So we're now looking to move to a subscription-based model. We're going to continue growing the businesses. We have a couple of we have a community within the Investor Club, which is business owners, which isn't property related. That's just trying to bring like-minded people together in a less formal environment where you can share. Being a solo founder, it's really hard when you know, this is how the emails work, this is the telephone and stuff, and you go and you're in your empty office going, I want to start a business, or I'm in a business but I don't know how to do this, and learn from other people's mistakes. And what I've tried to do is bring people that I learn from into the room, and bring people that I want to work with into the room. And we do private meals, we do breakfast mornings. There's no business card trading. This is the business. Oh, how'd you find that? And that sort of environment. We've got some paddle stuff coming up, which is exciting. Stuff that I want to be involved in.
Yeah.
And I feel like the choices, I'll never forget, someone invited us to a golf tournament, me and my sales manager, and I said, "Oh, what time's your tee off time?" And I'd not played in years. He said, "Oh, I don't like golf." I said, so what are you doing? He said, "I'm just going to stay in the clubhouse." And this person had put an event on, their own event, spent money, barbecue, all gift bags and prizes and stuff like that for their own company. They were doing an event that they
didn't want to do. It's bonkers.
They didn't like. And I'm like, I get your clients might want to do it, but the whole idea is your client thinks you like golf. So every Christmas and so birthday, they're going to send you some balls. Or I was like, that's not what. I get it. I get it from that old school mentality of business is done on the golf course or this. We're in a new age now. Like we're doing paddle tournaments. We're doing. We did I'm a Celebrity when that was out. We've done the Cube in like we go shoot. We just completely mix it up of really whatever myself, the staff feel like doing, and then invite our clients around, because it's not about, for me, it's about creating new experiences for people, and that's what helps build the rapport with people. Putting people into an uncomfortable environment or a new environment that they're not used to, learning a new skill set or trying something new. Playing another round of golf you forgot about is someone that's played 200 rounds of golf. You know, shooting's a great one because it's a shorter period, but there's a lot of people that's done it. You bring the amount of people that I've introduced to paddle, and they send you business or they recommend you, and they get someone told me to contact you. It's probably because I want to do paddle, and can we have a chat afterwards? Of course we can, because I want to play paddle, get my exercise in, and have the meeting afterwards. And so we've got a lot more of that stuff coming on. We've got our subscription model coming on with our high street estate agents, which is the real big push now, which is what we've been doing for 10 years, now allowing high street estate agencies to benefit from that model, retain the reoccurring revenue, attract new business, as well as safeguarding future revenue. That's really exciting. We've got non-execs coming on board in multiple different businesses, which is exciting, which is sort of bringing a bit of a tiered management across the group, which is really exciting because it's about the opportunity. And some people, you never have them conversations until there's an opportunity to work together.
Yeah.
And when there's an opportunity to work together, I enjoy knowing that I'm going to grow and learn. Most of the time I'll be used to be the loudest in the room, because there was no one there that I probably thought could add value. There's probably loads of people, but now I'm the quietest person in the room because I'm like, let me learn, because I've gained so much value over the past probably 5-6 years of listening, watching, studying what people do, what I want to do, tweaking it and taking parts of the business. So it's constantly evolving. There's always challenges. There's always a brown envelope coming in that you don't want to see. There's always a staff member that's not happy. But I think as long as we're true, as long as we stay transparent, everyone sort of knows what you're getting with me. We want to continue working with Empower, which is our ambassador role. We've got Hideout Youth Zone and Salford Youth Zone, which has just opened up, which is something that the problem Salford had for so many years was there wasn't anywhere to go and spend time and express yourself and learn a skill set. The skill set there, from the athletics to the barbering to the nail technicians, and the opportunity there that's being created with music and podcast rooms and stuff is just incredible. So really fortunate to be a part of that. Uniforms for all. We've now recycled close to 20,000 school items over the past sort of 2 years, stop them from going in landfill, and give children uniform that can't afford them, or families that can't afford them, to not be bullied or, sent home from school, or even worse, be bullied for not having the right uniform. We're looking to bring on a few partners with that. And it's funny because a lot of business that we've done now is, your network is so valuable to you for so many different things that you're involved in. Like some of my biggest businesses come because of the charity work that we do. But I hate when people build a business and they don't have time for this and they don't have time for that. When I've sold my business and I've exited and stuff, now I'll do some charity work. I'm like, I know, but the charity needs you now. And I'll never forget, we did the National Free Peaks in 24 hours in October, the end of October. Everyone's like, you're mad, it's going to be dark, you can't do it, you can't do this. Why don't you do it next year? And I said, because the kids need the money now. I said, and the fact isn't, oh, we're going to set records here. It's to get 3-4 grand for these kids this side of the year, not next year. And we did it, and we did the Free Peaks, and I think we stopped at Snowdon because it was starting in the dark at Ben Nevis, thinking you're going to die at the top, to then stopping at Snowdon because one of your mates is hanging onto a rock looking down the side, and I'm like, I'm calling it a day. No one was bothered that we didn't complete it in 24 hours. What they were bothered about was the £4,500 that we'd raised for the charity. And it's the doing. There's so many people, I'll do this, I'll do it. Just do it. You know, don't wait. There's never a perfect time. I did the Manchester Marathon 2 years ago for the charity, and that was me stop drinking. I started dry January and I thought I need an excuse, and the charity come in perfect time, and I said, I'll do the marathon for the charity, and it gave me 3 months of training to get the alcohol out of my system. And I said, if I drink, I won't train, and if I don't train, I can't do the marathon. And I put myself sort of hurdles in the way. There's never a perfect time. You know, I just believe in starting it and getting on that sort of course and seeing where it leads, and being able to pivot. Something that we discussed earlier was, you know, we want to be a more small and nimble team. We've done that growth, but obviously certain government changes and hikes in tax and national insurance and stuff, it doesn't make sense to have these massive teams now. Certainly in individual businesses across the group, yeah, great, but in individual businesses, there's got to be more efficient ways, or certainly relief. So we're really looking forward to that next stage of growth and bringing the high street estate agents on board. And the ultimate goal is to keep as many people that rely on rented accommodation in the properties as possible.
That's Ryan Hughes, founder of Mr Investa. Thanks so much for listening to the show this week, and please do make sure to click the follow button on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to check out Ministry of Work, where you can also sign up for a free trial day. This episode was produced, recorded and edited right here at Ministry of Work, with a special thanks to our studio manager Dan Brown, and of course to you for listening. I'm Eddie Whittingham, and this has been Greater Manchester's Greatest Minds.